All right, LSU loses in Oxford, Mississippi. The final score was 24-19. And I'm kicking myself a little bit here. If y'all listened to me last week, you heard me wrestling with this, and I will be honest. I feel like I'm honest all the time here. I have no pride. I'm wrong all the time, and am happy to discuss that. We'll do that in our SEC picks coming up a little bit later. Picked Arkansas to win. They lost by 100 and fired their coach. I'm wrong all the time. I was not wrong about this game in my gut. I knew that LSU was going to struggle to score points. And I felt like LSU would not be able to silence Ole Miss's offense, even with a backup quarterback. And really all week, I felt like I was going to pick Ole Miss to win the game. And I just kept looking at it and going, Chambliss is not ready for this defense. They're not going to score that much, and LSU's already won on the road. Like they'll find a way to get it done close. And I picked a close game that LSU won. And we got a pretty close game on the scoreboard, not on the stat sheet, but Ole Miss won. And it was because of the same things that have plagued this team and plagued this program for years. LSU does not run the ball effectively and does not run the ball enough. Period. End of discussion. And this has been a problem for 3 years. And you can look at 3 years ago and you can go, well, wait a second. They finished 11th in the country in rushing offense. What are you talking about? They couldn't run the ball. Well, you know where I'm going with that. Jaden Daniels put on a Superman cape. And he was one of the best players in the history of the program. He was the best player in the country by a mile that year. And he camouflaged an offensive line and a program that fails at running the football. You look at the important games that year against good defenses, and you will find that LSU could not run the ball when that time came. They played Florida State in Orlando in a game where they kind of got outclassed. But what you saw was an offense that could not run the ball in that game. You had Josh Williams and you had Caleb Jackson, but you couldn't do anything. In that game, you carried the ball 12 times with your tailbacks and they ran for 54 yards. 2 months later against Alabama, they ran for 43 yards on 13 carries. In the last game of the season against Texas A&M, where LSU won the game, thanks to Jaden Daniels bringing LSU back throwing touchdowns, the tailbacks ran 15 times for 36 yards. Last year, nobody in the SEC ran it fewer times than LSU. Nobody. And if you look at teams that average less yards per carry than LSU, Mississippi State, Kentucky, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, they won 4 games combined in league play. That's the worst teams in the league are the teams that are a little bit worse than you running the football. And you look up at what happened in that game on Saturday night, and you're looking at an Ole Miss team that statistically is putrid stopping the run. Kentucky ran for $175. Arkansas had 5 drives in the first half of their game at Ole Miss. 5 drives. Touchdown, 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 missed field goal. LSU came out of the gate 3 and out, 3 and out. And they don't even attempt to run the ball. They did give the ball to Xavier Thomas a few times, but if you look at the actual scholarship tailbacks, the guys whose school is being paid for to run the football from the backfield and who are also receiving money in NIL for running the ball out of the backfield, you gave the ball to Juwan Johnson once and he fell down and lost a yard. You gave the ball to Harlan Berry 0 times in the first half. And you gave the ball to Juwan Johnson, Caleb Jackson once. And it was 3rd and 20, and he ran for 10 yards. Like, your tailbacks combined for 2 carries in the first half. A fall down loss of 1 and a 3rd and 20, 10-yard run. Everything else is through the air. And you're not very good at that either. But the root of this problem is the running game. And it is atrocious. Now, I know that some people really, really like Pro Football Focus, and know that some people really don't like Pro Football Focus, and I don't really care what your feeling is for it, but I do think that it is a metric you can use to tell the story. It's not everything, but it's part of it. Listen to these run blocking grades from your offensive linemen. Braylon Moore is the best you got run blocking. His grade is a 64.4 for the season. DJ Chester is second best, 58.1. Tyree Adams, your left tackle, run blocking, 56.8. Josh Thompson, right guard, 54.4. Cohen Eccles plays left guard for you, 48.9. Paul Mabinga plays left guard for you, 46.7. And then Weston Davis, who's your right tackle, wasn't out there on Saturday, got hurt pregame, but he's been your right tackle to start. His run blocking grade for the season is 41.5. You don't have a single offensive lineman in this program that can go out and get a Pro Football Focus grade for the season better than 64.4. And two of your games are against Louisiana Tech and Southeastern Louisiana. This is not a Saturday night problem for LSU. It was the reason you lost to Ole Miss, because you can't sustain drives, you can't move the ball, your defense is on the field the entire game, and it's because you can't run the ball. That was a problem on Saturday, but this is a problem that is program deep. You had 4 NFL drafted offensive linemen on the team last year, and you couldn't run the ball. You completely overhauled the operation because you didn't have DJ Chester out there for the first half because he was out for targeting. You didn't have any offensive linemen on the field in the first half that were on the field last year for you. Josh Williams is gone. Caden Durham is hurt. So those are your 2 tailbacks from last year. It's not a tailback problem. You've overhauled the entire operation, and it's still the same garbage. So that's the problem. I don't know how healthy Garrett Nussmeier is. We'll talk about it. I don't know what the game plan is entering the game and how the flow of the game changes, but your commitment to running the ball is almost zero, and your effectiveness running the ball is almost zero. And if those 2 things remain, you can't accomplish anything. I'm going to oversimplify this to the point where it's going to sound stupid, but I'm going to oversimplify it. Literally, the point of the game is to move the ball down the field and get into the end zone, right? The easiest way to do that is to hand it off and move forward. Like, to break this thing down to the most simple way you could possibly put it. This is the easiest thing to create success, and you're the worst in the SEC at it. So you can't win. You can beat Clemson. You can go on the road and beat South Carolina last year. You can beat Florida. You can score an impressive win here or there in a given game because your defense is really good. Your quarterback has his moments. You've got real talent on the outside. But you can't win a season trying to do this without a running game. It just can't be done. So something fundamentally in the program has to change. It either has to be that you commit more to the run, that you develop players better so that they can help you run the football. You got to get stronger. You've got to do a number of, it's not just one thing. You got to do a number of different things. And until that changes, you're going to be stuck in neutral. And you're going to be playing on January 1st in some bowl game that changes names every 2 years. That's the destiny of the program. And it's a shame because there are a lot of good things in this program. There are a lot of good things. This defense is good. You've got playmakers. Your quarterback can do some things. Now, we got to talk about him as the show continues because his production has just dropped off a cliff this year. There's a lot good with LSU in the football program. But this virus called the running game that has infected it is bringing the whole thing down. And that, to me, it was everything on Saturday night. Yeah, bad decision by Nussmeier to throw that interception. Yeah, you're not hitting the deep shots on offense. Yeah, I'd like to get penalized a little bit, yes. Yes, there were mistakes made by the coaching staff and Brian Kelly that I will get to as far as burning timeouts in the second half. There are other issues around, but nothing is more impactful than your inability to run the ball. You cannot sustain drives. You cannot convert on 3rd and 4th and short. You cannot convert in the red zone. You're putting too much pressure on your defense. All of these things come from an inability to run the ball, and you look up against the worst statistical run defense in the Southeastern Conference. And for the entirety of the football game, you ran 22 times for 57 yards. It's just, you're never going to win like that, ever. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.